edition of this revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. I will be forward momentarily. All is blessing, all is a blessing, all is a blessing. Come on in, greetings and salutations, one and all. Come on in. Come on in, Blog Talk Radio, 515 605 9718. 515-605-9718.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. All is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils. Come on in, Blog Talk Radio. Come on in. Call me now on my Blog Talk Radio phone lines at 515-605-9718. 515-605-9718. And of course, you can come on in at Twitter, come on in, Facebook, Instagram, my EarthCam page, come on in, my website, viewers, come on in. Come on in, Algeria, come on in, Egypt. Let me tell you, I told you this is an international show. A film crew showed up yesterday in front of my house, and the director was from the DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. Thank you, DR Congo. Come on in, Nigeria. Come on in, Kenya, Habaragani. Come on in, Uganda. Welcome, welcome, Zambia, South Africa. Come on in, Russia. Come on in, Iran. Come on in, Turkey, Ukraine. Come on in, Poland. Come on in, Germany. All is a blessing. Australia. Come on in, the Philippines. Malaysia. Welcome, welcome today. Welcome, 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 Japan. Come on in. Thank you so much, South Korea, for your continued listenership. Poland, Germany, Netherlands, UK, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Hungary, come on in, Greece, welcome, welcome, Brazil, come on in, Argentina, welcome, Colombia, and Venezuela. Thank you so much to the UK. Thank you, United States, for your listenership. Thank you so much, Canada and Australia, and certainly DR Congo for being in my top 5 listener regions. Thank you so much for your listenership. Come on in, coming back to you right now at high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time. Live this May 3rd, 2022. Welcome, welcome one and all. Come on in. Greetings and salutations to the Chef Bougie. Welcome to you and yours as well. Thank you so much, New Zealand, for coming through. Rebecca Lilly for joining us today. Welcome, Shamafia. We certainly love you, beloved. Come on in. Greetings and salutations, one and all. It is a powerful Black Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. I invite your participation at area code 515-605-9718. And if you so dare, turn on your webcam and join me as co-host today on this powerful live broadcast. All is a blessing. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Come through, come through. Come back home to Africa.
Come back home. Come back home to Africa. Come back home. Da, 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 da.
Thank you, Diane. Diane Cameron Elam for that beautiful theme song. Thank you so much, Diane Cameron Elam. Singer, performer, artist, beautiful spirit, Diane Cameron Elam. We thank you for coming back home to Africa. Eshu Alegbuana Ko Siwere Awo Onlo Uto Ne Iwo Ada Afan Bo Osi Obatala Mi Itani Ebo Onilio Abane Shu. Eshu is the respected elder who flogs, confronts, uncovers fools. That one versed in mysteries uses truth to own you. He causes scatter to feed poverty. Oh, Batala shakes rascals to have sacrifice. The owner of warnings is the one who is Eshu, Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. May our Ebo reach your room. May our Ebo be accepted. May our Ebo allow what we desire to come to pass. And so we say Ashe and Asheo and Ashe. That's Yoruba for my new listeners. Asheo, Ashe. Divine, all blessed greetings and salutations. You are now sitting live with the Divine Prince, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagoon Oloye, Hoodoo Obea Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic. Please hold on for a moment. Somebody's at the door. All is a blessing. It's always doing a live broadcast. There's never any warning. There's never any, we're coming through. It's just always in the middle of the live broadcast. But all is a blessing. Thank you for your patience. I am indeed sharing with you all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, universal, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic, and of course, realistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Living life on life's terms, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. And it is my personal constant prayer. It is the mantra that I repeat and reiterate and reverberate throughout my head, my consciousness, and certainly on my tongue as frequently as possible. And therefore, it becomes my ever-living reality. And all is a blessing is the foundation of my understanding. It is my teaching. It is my walk, my work. It is my demonstration along this divine, all blessed life path and journey. And I choose divine, all blessed, because we create and recreate our reality with our mouths. And certainly before it comes out of your mouth, it has to be crystallized in that big silicone jelly bubble in your head that we call a brain. And so certainly it is how I make sense of all that we are challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother Earth. It's my personal place of power. It's my understanding. It is the place from where I personally begin and end all my endeavors. It is how and from where I crystallize my reality. Understanding that I create and co-create my divine destiny. And I create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is, Ashe. Understanding that the Black woman is God. The Black woman is God. Hello, can y'all hear me? Did I lose y'all during the momentary interruption? Okay. The black woman is God. Okay. The black woman is God. The black woman is God. Therefore, indeed, we are born God, just as we are born human. We're not born mature. We're not born with all of our, best faculties, if you will, ready to go. There's an incubation period, and then there's a period of development, of growth, of maturity into our becoming our full human selves as young people and then as adults. So therefore, we are born God, just as we are born human. But we are God's spirits having to now adapt to this plastic, physical universe that we co-share and coexist within. And we indeed create and recreate our reality with our mouths. We create and recreate our realities with what we think and speak to ourselves each and every day. Because, see, I can say anything to you. It has to match up with what's going on in my own head. It has to match up what's going on in my own life. You can say and speak anything to me, but it's got to match up to your demonstration. It's got to ultimately match up to who and what you be at any given moment in time space. And surely in those moments of challenge is where our best selves and our most authentic selves come forward. I am blessed. I am happy. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am in love. I am because my creators are. I am because God is. I am because the ancestors are. Follow me, please. Repeat. Write it down. Reverberate it. Reiterate it. Repeat it as often as you might need to. And break it apart. And look yourself in the mirror and say, I am. I am. I am. I am. And say it until you feel it in every core of your being, in every cell of your structure. I am blessed. I am blessed. And don't be distracted by the illusion. Understand the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm is more real, more evident, more efficacious, has a greater ability to create and recreate the reality that mirrors your best interest than anything we can envision in this illusionary, constantly in motion physical reality. So you speak your reality. And so you say, I am blessed. I am blessed. And you say it as many times as you need to say, I am blessed. I am happy. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am love. I am love. And so I also like mantras, affirmations. My godchildren already knew what was happening. These are affirmations, these are mantras, these are chants. These are things that you say not only to distract you from the illusion of the issue, block, or the complication, but these are incantations that send a vibration, a program, if you will, out into the universe that must come back to you, that cannot return void, that must become your reality, that creates and recreates and shapes indeed your reality. So I offer you today that I am because my creators are, and therefore you are as well. I am because God is. I am because my ancestors made it so. And so it is. The Persian sorceress of Greek myth, Medea, understood arcane pharmaca, drugs, and poisons, and knew how to concoct unquenchable living fire, volatile naphtha from natural petroleum wells in Baku and Azerbaijan. Medea, whose name means to devise, also knew the secrets of rejuvenation and resurrection. And she used magical formulas and quasi-scientific procedures to archive and achieve power over life and death. And so, according to myth, Medea first demonstrated her uncanny ability to recapture youth when she appeared as an old woman and suddenly transformed herself into a beautiful young princess. Jason of the Argonauts became her lover and asked Medea to restore the youthful vigor of her aged father, Aeson. Medea's treatment recalls 20th century celebrity rumors about miracle youth cures and secret Swiss labs. In the first example of fabled whole body blood replacement, Medea drew out all the blood from the old man's veins and replaced it with the rejuvenative juices of certain plants. And old Aeson's energy returned, and he was glowing with health, and people were amazed when they saw him. And the daughters of Peleus, hoping to rejuvenate their father as well, begged Medea to reveal her procedure. But Peleus was an old enemy of Medea's. The sorceress set her special bronze cauldron boiling over a fire, reciting incantations and sprinkling powerful pharmaca, potions, herbs, plants, roots. You get it, poisons. And amid great clouds of smoke, Medea dramatically cut the throat of an old ram and placed it in the big kettle. And abracadabra, a frisky young lamb magically appeared in the pot. And Peleus' gullible daughters attempted the same technique with their elderly father with horrible results. The earliest image of Medea in Greek art is on a vase painting of about 630 BC as she stirs her cauldron of rejuvenation. A sheep emerges from the pot. A similar scene appears in many other ancient paintings of Medea. And looking at these archaic images today inevitably brings to mind the world's first genetically engineered sheep, Dolly, who emerged from the first successful cloning experiment in 1997. Medea's mythic method for rejuvenating life, creating a younger version of an older creature, anticipates by more than 3,000 years modern advances in cloning, stem cells, high volume blood and non sanguineous transfusions, and other scientific techniques for renewing organs and achieving artificial life. We can look at the Kemetic or ancient Egyptian storytelling of Isis, whose uh, uh, whose magic allowed the cut up, mutilated body of Osiris to be rejuvenated, brought back together. It said all but the phallus, but that's another story for another time. So the idea of the veils being thin between scientific and magic, between spiritual and realistic, living life on life's terms. The veils are always and have always been thin, while at the same time they provide almost like the story of Lancelot, if you're familiar. If you don't have the key, if you don't know the secret, you see an island and clouded by fog. But Lancelot and those who hold the secret know that there's a doorway there. There's an interdimensional portal there that takes them into another space, into another world. It's another way of looking at the function of the third eye. What indeed is the third eye, and what's the function of that? And why doesn't everybody seem to have it naturally, or even if they have it naturally, why doesn't everybody seem to operate in it, know how to utilize it, much like we do our hands, our arms, our legs, our fingers, our limbs? But even in the most physical, biological sense, we don't all see the same things. We don't all see the same color spectrums. We don't all see the same item missing in a duplicated photograph of the same space. You have a photograph of a spice cabinet, two photographs of a spice cabinet full of spices, and then two spices are invertedly exchanged, and then one spice is taken out altogether, and you're asked to find the difference. We've all played that game at some point in our lives. You're asked to note what's not similar. Something is not like the other. And so we don't all see the same things at the same time, at the same spectrum. I can remember being a young child, me and Wapani, growing up in Coral Hills, Maryland, growing up in the PG County, growing up in the DMV. And I mean, being really young. So I must have been 6. So she would have been 3 or 4. And our ability to do things and access things that, young children, we say, have no knowledge of metaphysics. Young children have no knowledge of, guided meditation. Young children have no idea of, portals in space and time. And I just don't agree. Our children, our babies, our young people, our creative artisans have the most vivid imaginations. And those imaginations are a thin veil, are indeed the thin veil that allows some to open their third eye and to see in a very different way. And for those whose third eye ain't quite there yet, it's coming in your dreams. And you're seeing things, feeling things, experiencing things that don't always make sense, that don't always fit together. So the veils have always been thin between our reality and what cultures and people over time have called many things: magic, ritual, spiritual space, magical space, the dream space. We've called it many things over the centuries of a human evolution. And so the idea that we have the ability to go in and out of time and space, but by way of our own consciousness, by way of our own brains, by way of our own ability to expand our awareness beyond Earth. Sometimes when I say Earth, sometimes when I say grounded, I'm speaking of individuals who can't see the spirit realm. Their third eyes are not operating. They can only count numbers and dollars and how big is it and how much does it cost and what name is on it. Sometimes I refer to them as grounded, too grounded, as earth. And then there are those among this audience who are floating in the air, flying in the air, sometimes so much so that you're disconnected from earth. You're disconnected from humanity. You're disconnected from adulting and doing adult things, that, are necessary to exist successfully in these well-structured societies in which we live in. But you're flying, you're floating, you're drifting away. Sometimes you're in the clouds, you're in the sky, you're in the trees, and sometimes you're in the galaxies and you're in the cosmos and you're in outer space and you're flying. And some of you are just living in water and you're just underwater and you can't breathe, you can't move, you can't make a choice, you can't make a decision. You feel encapsulated, you feel imprisoned, you feel bound, and you're literally holding your breath for the next moment. You're literally holding your breath for the miracle. You're literally holding your breath for salvation, to be rescued, to be lifted up out of the water. And another symbolic reference to water is wisdom, it's knowledge, it's information. And so sometimes your third eye is open and your consciousness is open to volumes of information that the people around you think is crazy, that the people around you can't connect to, that the people around you aren't ready to see, or can't see, or don't want to see. And so there's this realm of fire, and you're living in constant anger and regret and warriorism and preparation for warriorism and destruction and apocalyptic, events. You're living in tense fire, tense fire. And so your very experience is passed through the prism of this fire, and it consumes all. I say every day, it consumes all but the truth. But some of you are burning that fire, and you're burning bridges, and you're burning opportunities, and you're burning blessings that you cannot see through the glare of the blazing fire, that you cannot see and feel through the heat and intensity of the furnace in which you exist in. And I say all the time that voodoo is nature. That there is no voodoo without nature. There is no Ifa without nature. There is no Kandable without nature. There is no Palo without nature. There is no Christianity, Islam, Judaism without nature. For indeed it is nature. We start mixing up potions, lotions, setting down protocols, rules. Now you're talking about man. Now you're talking about the structures and organization of man, which is another complex issue until itself. Because as I began this conversation, indeed we are born gods, just as we are born human, but we are not born mastered. We are not born, operating at our full capacity. And so this life is a journey. This life is a test. This life is a testing ground of our ability to integrate our spirit nature within the limitations and confines of earth law and earth reality. Never losing sight of our ability to create and recreate a reality that mirrors our best interests. So the veils have always been thin between biology and chemistry and science and magic. We look back in ancient times, there was no veil between philosophy and psychology and spirituality and magic and the ancestors. There was no veil over the understanding that God was a woman, that God was a feminine entity giving birth to our reality. There was no veil over that. And at some point, we went past through a portal of time and space where things became very regimented and oppositional to each other. And so psychology and psychiatry and philosophy and religion and spirituality became very compartmentalized, given very dogmatic protocols. And so spirit became bastardized. Magic became bastardized. Women's intuition became wives' tales, which was a way of bastardizing the power of women. And so we can choose to continue to follow the program, and many of you are. There are many lemmings among us in the audience, and lemmings are welcome. Lemmings are welcome as long as lemmings hear and digest and transform. Lemmings are welcome, but there are many lemmings among us, those who following the crowd, the group. And when one jumps, all will jump. When one says how high, all will reach for the sky. But then there are those among us who know that they're having a very different experience to what is being voiced and demonstrated around them. I like that word, amnesia. Amnesia. I like that. God's with amnesia. Alicia Rufus says, I am wholeness. I am wholeness. I am wholeness. I like that. I like that. Pt.2, welcome, beloved. Thank you so much for joining us. We certainly do appreciate you and yours. I would love to have you guest host one day, beloved. I certainly would. We can both, turn on our webcams and just bring it. He says it's interesting that Medea came from, how do you pronounce that, Caucasus? Caucasus was a Kemetic colony. The original Caucasians were black, and she was a descendant of Helios, aka Ra. Yeah, we must certainly have you on, beloved, as a co-host. Most certainly. But I like her story. And that's why I also went to the story of Isis and Osiris, and Osiris' body being chopped up by Seth and spread all over the world, and Isis collecting those pieces, with the help of Nephthys and using her magical power, her Iyami, to regenerate Osiris's body, his form. And again, it speaks to the earliest ancestral memory of magic, ritual, witchcraft, if you will, and science, astronomy, astrology, numerology, counting, having no veils, and us now living and existing in a world that's white and black, left or right, blue or red, hot or cold. You either with me or you're not. And it has limited our ability to see that as gods, as co-creators in the universe, our ability to create and recreate a reality that mirrors our best interests. We don't have to go along with the narratives. We don't have to go along with the story. And please, I know some of you are just not trying to deal right now with the politics. It's very hard for me not to. Being a person of a certain age, I was born in the late 60s. I grew up in the 70s. And so the Supreme Court confirms this leaked opinion, but says the draft is not a final decision. Now on the face of that, that's truth. And often over the years, the opinions in these drafts has shifted, has changed, has been rewritten before the presentation of the final decision. The draft opinion, which is not expected to be finalized for another month or more, could change, would leave it to individual states to determine abortion's legality. And Democrats are vowing to fight to protect abortion rights, while Republicans are condemning the leak, which is an interesting story within itself. Someone clearly made the leak. Republican or Democrat, with the effect of getting the response from the masses as what we saw demonstrated last night. The leak of the draft of the Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe versus Wade signaled a seismic shift in American politics and law, portending sweeping change for women in much of the country and upending the legislative and campaign landscape at every level of government just 6 months before midterm elections. The distraction. This major shift is happening to distract us from what? In the middle of this Ukrainian, Russian, preeminent Third World War. This is like a virtual World War right now. Oh, yes, we have to present the image that we're not too involved, yet we know we're deeply involved. We can't get boots on the ground, but we know we're sending all kind of resources. So it's a look, it's an illusion, if you will. And my regular listeners understand that we live in at least 11 dimensional spaces at once, at least 11. So that pretends more. And so certainly in some realm of reality, in another dimensional space, we're actively in the Third World War. And the morning after the disclosure of this opinion, protesters gathered outside the Supreme Court today and could be heard across the street as members of Congress entered the Capitol. And at the White House, President Biden called on voters to elect more abortion rights supporters to Congress so that the lawmakers can codify the principles of Roe into federal law, even if the justices reverse the decision. And I pretend that women have always been in control of their own bodies. Always. Always. Since the beginnings of time. Always. So any attempt to curtail that, block that, bind that, legislate that, it's just more political foolishness and buffoonery and spiritual warfare. Because we know from past, and I won't get too graphic here on the show. I don't want to trigger people. But some of the younger listeners, you need to understand. I need you to do your Google Bing research today. I need you to go back and understand what the environment looked like before Roe versus Wade, what women were faced with, what options were available. And don't forget to look at those who are privileged, those who have resources, those who have access, and what they had to do before Roe versus Wade. And then I want you to look at people of color. I want you to look at less enfranchised communities and what they were forced to do under those similar circumstances. So I won't enumerate it here. Just do your research. Some of us born of a certain generation, we know exactly what I'm talking about. So women have always been in control of their bodies. Do we make that safe? Do we make that available in a way that they don't have to feel threatened, that they don't have to be, carted away in secrecy to another state, albeit to another country, to have control over their own health, their own body, their own lives? And I saw, wow, what did I do with that tweet? I love Dr. Rashad Ritchie. If y'all not hip to Rashad Ritchie, y'all better get with the program. Okay. He says, since the Supreme Court wants to take away a woman's right to choose, child support should start at conception. A child is 9 months old at birth. Mandate life insurance companies to insure fetuses and stop deporting pregnant, undocumented women. They are now carrying American citizens. And that is a quote from Dr. Rashad Ritchie, probably about 2 hours ago. He tweeted that. And so, I've always said, it's not my business. I'm not a cisgendered woman, not a woman, not a female. It's not my business, never has been my business. And that has been my position. I have consciously avoided arguments, debates, back and forth. Uh, even in the most positive environments, I don't seek to inform women about women's things, women's issues. I know how to refer. I got a team, a family of elders, of women, and qualified women, CNs, RNAs, CNAs, medically educated, culturally educated, grandmothers, great grandmothers, team of women. And so, in many cases, when a female client needs particular services provided, cleansing rituals, spiritual baths, I will call in the women to assist me, if not perform those ceremonies. So over the years, I've taken, the position that it's not my business. When it's made so political, when it's now with the aid of social media, it's just in your face, it's just everywhere. Everybody's got an opinion. Everyone's got an amen corner. And so it's just hard not to respond. And as I suggested, I put it in context with why now, at this moment in time space, after a pandemic. Yeah, I said after a pandemic. We had 4 years of a pandemic, and then we got COVID. And so now, after COVID, or in the middle of COVID, and virtual World War III, this, this. And I'm gonna tell you, the women of 2022, whatever the generation, whatever the age, they're not lying down for this. They're not going to just accept this. And as I opened up this thought, women never have. Never have. Women have always had control over their bodies. Now, whether it was legal or not, whether it was your business or not, it was another discussion. But women have always had control over their bodies, always will. Women have had control of all of our bodies since the beginning of creation. They've had control of all of our bodies, including their own. They've nurtured and fed our bodies so that we could have life. And in many cases, continue to nurture many of our minds, bodies, and spirits well into 50 and 60 years old. God bless the mothers, the living mothers, among us. I'm grateful to have almost an 80-year-old mother who's not senile, who's not suffering Alzheimer's, who's healthy for the most part, who's able to drive and get around and handle her business, independently, you know, eternally grateful. But the idea that I would interfere, prevent, block, legalize, for God's sake, what my mother chooses to do, what my sister Wapani chooses to do, what Shamafia or Alexis or S. Marie chooses to do. It's not my business. It's not my business. And so, as spiritual warriors, there are prayer warriors in this room, there's ritual warriors in this room, there's witches in this room, there's dark practitioners in this room. Everyone has to address life on life's terms from where you are. From where you are. And so understand that we all have power. We all have power. I've said over the years of doing this podcast, the internet and our devices evens the playing field to some degree. And that's why there's so much shenanigans and trickery and nonsense going on with that. The impersonating, the hacking, You know, people wanting to steal your identity, and you know, because this is the one lane, if you will, that evens the playing field. No matter where you are in the globe, you can tap into it, you can access it, you can translate it, you can hear it, you can play a role, you can have a voice. So as I offered yesterday, be careful about what we're saying, what you're posting every day. You are influencing. Oh, I can't tell you how amazed I am every day at who approaches me from what walk of life, from what corner of the globe, to tell me that they, you know, been listening to the show for years. They've been participating for years. They've been watching our footprint, you know, for years. It happened this morning at Treme Coffee Shop. For God's sake, you know. And the owner's wife was like, "Oh, my nephew was here, and he was just so excited about this voodoo guy, and he was talking about this voodoo guy, and he watched this series on the Travel Channel about this voodoo guy." And she said it finally registered with her who he was talking about. "Oh, you mean DivinePrince?" And he asked her if he knew her, and she said he just could have fainted. You know, 15-year-old white kid. Just, you know, we judge people on face value. So just based on the parents, you just wouldn't in any way in your mind think that they or their family is listening to us right now, is watching us right now, is enjoying us right now, and is entertained by what we share in this space right now. 15 years old. So be careful about your footprint. Be careful about what you're saying. Be careful about what you're posting. I don't know about you, JP Terrell, but I've seen a shift in Twitter. I won't speak for all the platforms, but certainly in Twitter, in the last, I don't know, 90 days, you know, away from people just over posting their personal stuff, you know. And so some people have slowed down on the posting. Others have sort of shifted, you know, to other topics, which is great, you know, excellent. But, you know, people are beginning to figure out what we've been saying, my God, for 25 years. This stuff is forever. Your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your MySpace. My MySpace is still active, even though I don't never post to it. It's forever. And somebody's got it downloaded somewhere. Somebody's got it in the can somewhere. And certainly your descendants and the descendants of your descendants will have access to your thoughts, your feelings, your postings. So be careful about your virtual footprint. And that should mirror your real world footprint, your sense of integrity and demonstration, how you show up every day, whatever your religion is, whatever your spiritual calling is. What is the indeed the authentic message of your demonstration? And are you living up to your words? Are you living up to your post? Are you living up to that image that you would have people to accept and receive of you? I believe as science and technology continues to move forward, the veils will thin again between science and spirit, science and spirituality, certainly science and magic. But in the meantime, those of us who know better do better. In the meantime, we give great honor and acknowledgement to the shoulders upon which we stand. Ancestors who gave blood, sweat, and tears so that we could be present in this moment in time space, this particular moment in time space, because the future and the past don't exist until this moment in time space, and until the only moment that we have, which is the right now. And so the ancestors have given blood, sweat, and tears, have prepared a way so that this generation, no matter what your age is under the sound of my voice, so that this generation could make major changes for the future, not just for us and our sense of survival and our sense of comfort and peace and health and wellness right now in this most present moment in time space, but certainly for the future. I've said before, we have a unique opportunity, unlike none that's ever existed before, to leave a record of who we are, our lives, in digital content for those who follow us to pick up. And so the idea of, my family whispered and shoo-shooed about root work and conjure and, but they didn't teach us nothing. The present generations and generations coming will not have that to say. And they're either going to say, my family chose, the left or the right. And they're going to have the opportunity to choose what they so will. And so we have the opportunity to lay a foundation for conjure, root work, magic, witchcraft, ATR, indigenous, aboriginal spiritual practices and traditions to continue to be legitimized and not bastardized and not appropriated and not commercialized in a way that's not beneficial to the communities for which these practices come from, for which these practices are born into, for which these practices are often kept and protected and kept alive within. I like the idea of the Mbuti, one ethnic group that we used to call pygmy in Southern Africa, and their ability to light a fire and keep an ember lit, sometimes for years. And we're talking about people who are on the go, who are on the move, who have historically been nomadic, who certainly are being sort of limited to some degree through modernization in Central Africa or South and Central Africa, but are nomadic people who pick up all their belongings, all their things, including their fire, and transport it to the next location. And the idea that they can keep that ember lit through rainstorms, through, all sorts of activity, keep it going, keep it burnt, is very humanizing from a spiritual perspective. It speaks to the ingenuity and the creativity and the power that we have as these clay humanoid vessels, as the mammals of Earth that indeed we are. And certainly as our hominid ancestors demonstrated, particularly Neanderthal man with fire and stone tools. And, we certainly are a phenomenal species. But when we unlock the magic that's in our consciousness, that's in our spirit, when indeed our third eyes are open and we can see beyond the veils, and not just see, but then bring that into this reality for others to experience. And often we do that through art, through the written word, through the lyrics and the harmony and rhyme and rhythm of the music, through designing, creating, crafting, fashion, architecture. We demonstrate that through everyday life. We demonstrate that through our reality, living life on life's terms, and then bringing that which you have to the forefront of your existence. Bring that which you have to the forefront of any given moment of our waking reality. Being authentic and true, 100%, as the kids say, keeping it 100 in any given moment. And so there's no, he pushed a button and I lost it. There's no, I got emotional and something else came out. No, that something else is who we are. That other part is who we are. We are multifaceted. We are many people. And certainly we have shadow. We all have shadow and shadow work that must be addressed, that must be healed, that must be attended to, that light should be shown upon. So there's that again, that physical reality, that earth, what we do. How many times a day do we pray? Do we kneel? Do we bow? Do we go before the altar? Do we go before the shrine? Is the shrine clean? Did we feed the shrine? Do we do magic? Do we do ritual? Do we do potion? What goes in that pot? What's the calendar arrangement today for the astrological weather? Physical things. And then in the realm of water, there's emotion. There's running hot. There's running cold. There's being in your feelings. There's being triggered, whether it's by politics, whether it's by, the antics of friends, family, co-workers. That's the realm of water. Being influenced by information, what we know. Sometimes feeling, the glass half full, sometimes feeling the glass half empty. Imagery, symbolism of water. And of course, those fire people, it's all fire burn, it's all Babylon, it's all going to hell, it's all a precursor to, the next world war, or the end of days. you know um there's no reason to smile, there's no reason to be happy, there's no reason to to enjoy the moment. uh Burn everything, and what survives, I'll focus on that. That's living in the fire. And again, those air spirits whose feet never touch the ground, who are dreaming, who are in imagery, who are living a creative imaginary existence, who are in the clouds, who are in the cosmos, who are traveling through the universe, who are living in the past, who are living in the future, who are reenacting what happened and how it happened, and that's the reason why I can't move forward, and then reliving it again. Those people who are in the air. And I'm using a lot of symbolism and imagery right now intentionally. I'm doing something. I'm performing a bit of a surgery right now on some of our listening audience. And cognitively, they may not get it, but spiritually, it's happening. It's happening right now. And so, like the tree that roots itself in earth and drops roots and builds a foundation and plants itself for some sense of seasonal permanency in this particular location of the world, and then absorbs its nutrients, not just from the ground, but then from the air, then from the water, then from the heat and the fire of the sun. And the only thing that modern science, modern minds would say it lacks is consciousness. Within the realms of voodoo, of course, and animism, all things have consciousness. All things have consciousness. And we see the trees reach for the sun. I've never seen that no more dramatically than in Los Angeles. Because in other parts of the country, where I've lived, the Midwest, Chicago, St. Louis, the DMV, the East Coast, Atlanta, the South, Florida, there's this uh, seasonal thing that happens, and your trees reach for the sun, but then there's a balancing that happens with the periods where there is no sun or it's diffused sun, and of course fall, winter, and the effects of that regionally. But I saw it most dramatically in probably southern Florida and southern California, how the palm trees reach for the sun. And sometimes they bend, they curve, they turn. And so we reach for the sun while being affected by the glancing light of the moon that reflects that light back at us as moon energy. We're affected by the motion, and all things are in motion. And another, great mantra that I've been using here lately is a body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. Okay. And for those of you of a certain age, and you still might be 20 something, I'm telling you, move your body, move it around. It's not just the power of our minds, and it's not just the power of our thumbs and our fingers. We got to keep our bodies in motion, the vessels in which this God inhabiting this earth-like experience exists in. So a body in motion stays in motion, a body at rest stays at rest. And I'm feeling super healthy, super good here of late. And so I'm trying to make up for lost time, and I'm doing a little of this and doing a little of that, and organizing ritual and ceremony, and certainly having more people into the house, physically into the house. Now I ain't no fool. I ain't nobody's fool. I'm masked up. I'm still making sure that, people who are coming in, handling their business. And certainly if you are not boosted and vaccinated and all that kind of stuff, you might have to wear 3 or 4 masks to get in the house with me. But I'm certainly moving around again. I'm, operating in the illusion of post-pandemic, because there's no such thing. It's an illusion. But we operating as if things are, okay, I'm adjusting to the new normal, because there's no going back to adjusting to the new normal. And so again, those veils are very thin between the science and the medicine and the math and the spirit, and how we live and how we face challenges and how we face people and how we face crossroads each and every day. So listen, I'm grateful, always grateful for your time, your love, your support, your listenership, your donations. I'm certainly grateful for my godchildren and my family and my inner circle who keep things moving forward, who are certainly committed to the ancestors, to keeping the fire and the spirit and the energy of ATR alive, even while living life on life's terms, even while confronting the realities of what we live with today in a modern society. So I'm certainly grateful for you. I won't keep too much of your time. I look forward to sharing and being here with you again in this space at high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time, for the next revolutionary Hoodoo New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Respect the voodoo no matter what you do. Respect the voodoo. All is truly and indeed a blessing. I'm grateful for you. Until next time, Ashe.